Hello, everybody. I'm here today with Chuck Frydenborg. He's the CEO of MarketMuse. Hi, Chuck. Welcome to this week's Business Spotlight.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I really appreciate taking some time with us today. So let's just get right into the questions. Tell me a little bit about MarketMuse.
MarketMuse focuses on the two biggest challenges that content creators face on a day-to-day basis. The first one is, how do they create content that their audience can find? There has been a proliferation of content creation in the last decade. There's exponentially more content available than there was just a few years ago. That means if your content is not optimized so that when relevant searches are performed on any search engine, that content actually appears, your content's never going to get found. But frankly, if all they're looking for, content creators, if all they're looking for is to create content that can be found, there are a host of SEO agencies that they can go to. And those SEO agencies can provide them with keyword data that they can use to boost the ability of that content to perform well in search. We think, though, that making your content visible is only half of the problem. What we focus on is what happens next when that content is found and that reader clicks on that content. What happens? Is that content optimized for topical authority? Does it reflect well on your brand and on your efforts to be a thought leader on that topic? Is it aligned with user intent? Does it answer the questions that led that person to do that search in the first place? And finally, is it written in a way which will drive the outcome that led for that content to be created in the first place? Whether that's a click-through, it's a conversion rate, or it's simply wanting to learn more about you and your company, or is it a purchasing action? Whatever it is, that content needs to be written with those goals in mind. And that's what we enable our clients to do through our platform.
Wow, that sounds quite amazing. So using AI to do that, and
yes,
and because I mean, developing content, everyone tells you to get your SEO up, it's content, right? And yeah, that's a piece of it, but there's a lot of other stuff. So this really just hones in on the critical aspects of the content to ensure that it's found and then it's usable and converts the way they want it. Is that?
Yeah, you actually did a pretty good job with that. Yes, our AI, when a search query is performed on our platform, it searches and finds all the relevant pieces of content to that desired topic and provides information to the user about what it means to be an expert on that particular topic. And it enables them to build that content in a way where it's optimized for topical authority and it's aligned with user intent through some of the things that I just listed off to you.
Yeah.
The key part of the platform is our knowledge graphs, which are patented AI tech. So we feel like we've established a very unique thought leadership position in our industry. And, we continue to work to ensure that, we are providing differentiated capabilities and functionality to our clients every day.
Okay. So speaking of your clients, I mean, who do you serve? Who's your best customer, your target audience?
Great question. Really, any company that creates content, organic content at scale. So if you look at it, typically companies or software companies will play well in particular industries. We are to some extent industry agnostic. If you look at the roster of our client base, we have, retail, tech, financial services. We run the gamut. Having said that, if you think about that criteria of creating content at scale, media and publishing is a particular powerful industry for us because they not only create content at scale, they create content at massive scale. And that provides us with the opportunity to deliver value, quantifiable value to them on a daily basis.
So marketing firms, things like that are big B2Bs that you focus on?
Yeah, so it's, it's our I guess our, ideal client profile, as that term is frequently used, is for content strategists, content marketers, SEO professionals. We really meld the interest of those two groups together,
Mhm.
empowering them to create content that, as I spoke about at the beginning, meets both needs.
Okay.
Marketing agencies actually are also clients of ours, and often, in cases, we are in any way that secret tool that
Yeah.
enables them to deliver the content they need for their clients.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. I was looking through the website and I was like, wow, this is pretty neat. Um,
Right.
so so marketing agencies, big B2B, how can let's just say a small business owner, maybe even a single entrepreneur utilize this platform?
So we have, the offering that we've discussed thus far in our call is really has been our, what we call our premium B2B offering. We have additional product alternatives to meet the needs of various companies. So we have an offering we call standard, which is more for a small size business that may have, a handful of writers. It does not have all of the functionality that the premium offering has, but it has what is needed for that small size business. We also have a free offering that has been very, very successful for us, that is targeted towards that, 1-2 person shop that really needs to scale their content creation capabilities before they could justify a paid relationship with us, and that has been used very effectively.
Excellent. So COVID has hit everybody a little bit differently through it out. You guys went through that. How did COVID affect MarketMuse?
In so many ways, and I'll be transparent with you and say that it presented significant challenges to our business, but I also think in the long run, COVID provided a long-term benefit to us because it forced us to be better. All right. We were, cruising along prior to the pandemic, doubling revenues year over year, had plans to do the same in 2020. And then the second week of March happened. I think what's that Mike Tyson quote, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Mhm.
Right. At that point, we were doing what VC funded companies do. We were spending more than we were generating.
Mhm.
Uh, we were playing the very short term game of trying to drive scale as quickly as we could. The pandemic really hurt us for really 9 months, and it was because of that experience that we made a decision that I believe transformed the company. Is that we decided to transition from being VC funded to being profitable. And I think what's important for people to pull
Wow.
out of this conversation or from that experience is that when you are when you are prioritizing near term, short term growth over anything else, you are often making a decision which prioritizes short term interest versus long term interest.
Yeah.
And eventually there's going to be a point where you pay for that,
Mhm.
whether that's in the type of agreements you write with your clients, whether it is potentially the technical debt you're building as you're accelerating it, development and engineering work and product releases over everything else. And what we decided to do in the midst of the pandemic is really pull the plug on that and focus on what we needed to do as a company to build a long-term, sustainable, strong growth business. And again, it has not been without its lumps and pain points. But I believe that, as a company, we offer a better experience to our clients than we ever have. And we're doing so in a way that's responsible, that we can maintain, and where we're providing a return to our investors.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, really incredible that that whole experience through COVID led you to that, really is having that big, hairy, audacious goal, right? And then and putting it way out there and saying now how we're going to get there rather than just short-term gains to satisfy the investors, right? So, wow.
Yeah, no,
That's pretty
you're
awesome.
on point. I mean, and so much of this is it's about being, you used the word audacious,
Mhm.
right? That's a part of our nomenclature. You know, be bold, don't be afraid. You
Yeah,
know, making mistakes is fine. Making the same one over and over again, that's different.
right.
But let's be bold and take chances to be the best company that we think we can be.
Excellent, excellent. So you're the CEO. Are you also an owner or a founder of it, or?
I am not the founder. We had two founders, Aki Balag and Jeff Coyle. Aki really created the concept of MarketMuse and did the initial, coding sitting on his couch. He really deserves the credit for seeing the gap in a technology-enabled solution in the market and creating MarketMuse to address that need. He then brought in Jeff Coyle, who has who is renowned, very strong personal brand in SEO and content strategy. And it's with Jeff's input that they created the first version of our current offering. They hired me to lead sales, to lead revenue in late 2018. And it was in the midst of the pandemic that they asked me to move into the CEO role. Just a matter of a different mindset focused on sustainable growth and building a strong foundation for the company.
Yeah. So other than the issues that you described with COVID, what's been the biggest issue you've had to overcome since becoming CEO?
I think there's two, and I may surprise you on this a bit. But when the change happened in October, November of 2020, I was probably the most surprised person in the room. It was not a role I had aspired to. I was flattered and humbled. But I think in the first 3 or 4 months, I had I had to believe that I was that I belonged in the seat. I've read a lot about imposter syndrome, and I was moving the company, I felt, in the right direction, but in hindsight, I should have deferred less, been more decisive, and led the company in the direction we needed to go in more quickly than I did.
Mhm.
Um, I think the other challenge has been that we had to reinvent our culture. And I'll explain, what that means. So much of what makes MarketMuse just, I think, an incredibly positive place to work, is the culture that we have. It's a culture of being audacious. It's a culture of innovation and thought leadership. But as I referenced earlier, we push the envelope on that so hard for so long that our clients were telling us, gosh, the breadth of functionality is amazing, but the instability of the platform sometimes is very frustrating. The time to load is very frustrating. I confront issues and your help desk is responsive, but why are these issues there in the first place?
Mhm.
And we made what I thought was a difficult decision, but a prudent one, to really pull back on a number of the pieces of innovation that we were pursuing at the time, such as natural language generation, actually having our platform create content. We pulled back on a lot of things
Mhm.
for the purpose of making our priority the in-platform experience that we provide our clients. And we just a week and a half ago completed basically a replatform, a middleware rebuild, where we have finally eliminated that technical debt and now have a platform that is super fast, completely stable, and is providing the experience that our clients deserve. And it's something I'm very proud about the team for pivoting and moving in that direction.
Yeah, that's, man, you said some really, really great things that I just want to comment on. First of all, about being CEO and imposter syndrome, and you know, whether you earn the right for that, right? So it's a mindset thing that people have to understand in entrepreneurship, and even a CEO, you're in that realm, is knowing who you have to be to do what you have to do to get the results you want, right? Because sometimes you have to change the B is so important, and then, you know, the second thing was your culture. And this one thing in Action Coach we focus on with businesses pretty hard is being very deliberate and intentional about the culture you're building and having it written down. Some people call it values, we call it culture, and we have 14 points of culture we live by, right? And hold each other accountable for an Action Coach. And I think it's the secret sauce of the global franchise is that culture, so congratulations on that, because it's so important. I mean, you can have the best person, coder, whatever job they do, but if they're not in sync with the culture of the business, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and I think, when you think about value, we talk all the time internally about doing the right thing the right way, but how you define right can be completely different. Is it the right thing for your shareholders and investors? Is it the right thing for the business? Is it the right thing for the clients? How do you define right? And what I felt we needed to do was change our definition of right to transition from the right thing being how can we grow as quickly as possible to how can we provide the best experience and the best return on value to our clients and our customers.
Right, because they're going to keep coming back over and over again when you do that, right? So, wow, that's amazing. So, just two more questions. What advice would you give anybody thinking of going into business for themselves?
I've been, before, we haven't really touched on this, but before I became, the CEO, before I joined MarketMuse, I was a career, salesperson, and then a sales leader. And I've observed through the years so many people that have been successful, and so many people that have failed to achieve the success that they would like. And I think so much of entrepreneurism has got to be driven by the same thing that enables people to achieve success, is you have to be very passionate about what you're doing and the impact that will have on others. What is the problem that you are trying to solve, and why is your solution unique, right? There are so many entrepreneurs that can tell you about how to focus on the opportunity and get after it. But if solving that problem is not something that becomes core to who you are, and if it's not something that you can rally people around, you will not be successful.
Yeah.
We were talking about the imposter syndrome a few moments ago, right? The transition I made in that was allowing myself to focus on the things that I brought to the table that would make me a very successful CEO, instead of focusing on the gaps I had in my background that were not what I thought a CEO should have. And oh my God, how am I going to overcome those? Right. Where the skills I brought to the table more than anything else was a 20 plus years of experience as a leader. And leadership, you don't attain a successful leadership by pulling people towards a goal or pushing them towards a goal. You inspire people, you motivate them through a shared vision and a shared goal. And if you don't have that clarity of vision and passion around what you're trying to get done, you will not be able to get other people to follow.
Yeah, man, you said it perfectly. Absolutely. That's amazing. So, thanks for that. Last question, and we always ask this: any offers that you'd like to include in the newsletter? I mean, you mentioned some things that you have on your website, the free version. Is there anything else you'd like to mention?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'll admit I wasn't prepared to think about that, but I mean, I would be happy to provide, a 20% discount for anybody that listens to this today and says, wow, what MarketMuse is doing is pretty cool. I think I'll reach out to Chuck and learn more. Yes, I mean, we would absolutely welcome this as an opportunity to talk to folks we haven't crossed paths with before.
Excellent, excellent. I appreciate that, and I'm sure the people listening when we publish this will too. So, Chuck, that wraps up the interview. Really nice job. This has been a great interview. Your knowledge and wisdom is a step above a lot of business owners. It's all about learning and growth for business owners, and you seem like even though you're the CEO and you've came up those ranks. So I really do appreciate it, and thanks so much for taking time today.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate the opportunity.